Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on a bright and beautiful, dazzling Tuesday. That is the calm between two storms. We had a day of rain yesterday. Pitch dark, drizzling rain at all times. All day long. And we're supposed to have precipitation of some kind tomorrow. It looks to me like the percentages on tomorrow's storm are going down and down and down, so it's possible it won't happen at all. But today is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Bright sunlight without a cloud in the sky, and of course warm. Well able to walk the bean in my shirt sleeves, even though it's almost November. I predict for this Boston winter that is going to be true, just until spring. That Boston is not good. We're certainly not going to have a killing frost. We haven't had a killing frost in almost a decade. But I'm predicting for this winter the exact opposite of what the meteorology bros are predicting. I predict that there will be no storms. Nothing in the way of snow, very little in the way of ice or sleet, maybe a few rainstorms, maybe tomorrow will be a light sprinkling of rain, but that the peaks in between those troughs, the temperatures will go back up into the foothills of the 70s Fahrenheit, just all winter long. So there won't ever be a sustained period where the temperature, the daytime high temperature is in the 40s, let alone the 30s. We'll see. I could be wrong about that. I'm not getting the impression that this pattern is ever going to change. So, and certainly I'm not criticizing it today, because today has been lovely to walk the bean. She was getting very restive yesterday because she doesn't like walking in the rain. It's not like I'm imposing on her. If she wanted to go walking, up in the high forest in the rain, I would gladly take her, but she doesn't want to. She doesn't like to be outside in the rain. So she, but she likes her exercise. She likes to scoot around and scream at people. And she didn't get to do that yesterday. But we do have some mail. I want to keep up on the mail to the best of my ability here. I got some periodicals and also some packages. We got the Martha's Vineyard Gazette, the lovely Martha's Vineyard Gazette, a broadsheet newspaper from the island of Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts. And then I got two of the best literary reviews that are done in the English language. There's the TLS and the London Review of Books. Got both of those. So I'll be digging right into these. I did look already at the letters column, because I always find the letters pages really interesting in both these things. In the TLS, there's a writer writes from France. I thought I would read you this part. May I add a detail to Robert Potts's review of Adam Sisman's study of the emotional and literary repercussions of John le Carré's tedious lechery? Sisman wrote a review of a book that claimed that John le Carré, the spy author John le Carré, slept with everything that had a pulse. I once asked a retired SIS officer about the influence on his former colleagues of le Carré's novels. I was told, for what it's worth, that until the 1970s, SIS officers were generally an uxorial bunch of men remaining faithful to their wives in a spirit of well-regulated prudence, but that le Carré's fictions made them feel that they were missing easy tricks. Consequently, there was an increase of adulterous adventuring at home and abroad. And the letter writer actually troubles to end that letter with, "Perhaps I was being teased, but I think not." To which I respond, "You were being teased." But it doesn't stop there, because the letters page of the London Review has something funny as well, along the same lines. Let's see if I can find here. Yes, here we go. This is a letter from Boston, from Boston, Massachusetts. Nicholas Penny mentions the moment in a Roman Catholic Mass when the priest drains the wine remaining in the chalice. That brought back a morning in my Protestant Episcopal girlhood. I was shadowing my grandmother on her altar guild duties to All Saints in Worcester, Massachusetts, as she laid out linens for upcoming services. That silver tube at the corner of the altar, she explained, was where leftover communion wine went right down into the soil. Which would be filed on Twitter under the heading of Things That Never Happen. You may have seen a tube on the side, behind an altar in a church in Worcester. But unless you are 275 years old, I guarantee you the church you were a good little girl in, however many years ago, had a basement. It wasn't built on ground. It wasn't built on the rich, loamy soil of Worcester. It had a basement, which means it wasn't drizzling used wine. Plus, I don't think any self-respecting Catholic priest in Worcester in the last 100 years let service wine go to waste? I doubt very much. I can think of one other possibility for a tube like that, but I guess it'd be easier just to say that the writer of the letter is misremembering the tube just in general. But if those were fun, then the issues would be fun. There's lots and lots of stuff in here that I'm going to pay attention to, including, I judge from the table of contents, reviews of a couple of books that interest me that I have not received. I have to get on the horn about that, find out what's going on there. But then we've got the packages. This doesn't have to be a long video. There's just a couple of packages. It's a package and a box. So we'll see what we have here, and we will hope for the best. That's all. We will hope for the best. So the first one is a finished copy. It's thin. Oh, okay, because it's a slim volume of poetry. Well, that explains why it's thin, doesn't it? Let's put you up here, out of harm's way. This comes out in late November. Oh, we've seen this already. This is School of Instructions by Ishion Hutchinson, a modern poet I actually like. In 2016, the poet was commissioned by the Imperial War Museums in London to research West Indian participation in the First World War. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why on earth would they do that? Why waste the money on a commission? Why not just get a junior staffer to stop filing papers, go outside, and spray paint hateful graffiti on the building? Why pay money for the commission when that junior staffer would do that for free? Anyway, from this research, the poet has fashioned what could fairly be called an epic. No, it can't. Reading at times like a high modernist ode, guarantee you there'll be no ode in here. A sumptuous lyric, this will contain no lyric verse. Words have meanings. This is not an epic, this is not an ode, and it will not contain lyric verse. The author doesn't know how to craft lyric verse. Words have meanings. This is not a book about dinosaurs. Anyway, we're not supposed to yell during mail hauls. That's the whole point here. An experimental novel, sure, why not? Also, an aircraft instruction manual, right? It's right around page 50 that you get instructions about leveling out without your instrumentation in a fog. This book, The Fruit of His Labor, okay, you commissioned him to research West Indian participation in the First World War. Did you commission a volume of poetry? This is the fruit of his labor? He didn't actually write anything about that subject? Is a visionary epic, there's that word again, which through a sort of historical narrative compression simultaneously represents both the experiences of West Indian soldiers during the First World War and the quotidian yet formative experiences of a Jamaican child in the 1990s. Wonder who that could be. A poem that incorporates history and the voices thereof. So I guess the equivalent of autofiction would be autoverse. But when you ask a young person, especially a young person who's absolutely obsessed with identity politics in the 21st century, to research some subject for your commission, what you're going to get is here's 30 pages about me. Here's 300 pages about me. Here's 300,000 pages about me. I'm sorry, we only wanted a 90-page report, so you're all racist. The main archival document from which Hutchinson drew inspiration is a diary written by a white British soldier who observed Caribbean conscripts in the Middle Eastern Campaign, the only theater of World War I in which they bore arms. No, the primary archival document the author used was his Twitter feed. The poem counterposes these biblical-sounding movements and reports with the experience of Godspeed, a boy living in rural Jamaica in the 1990s. His name is Godspeed. Okay, not Godsend. They're just in for a penny, in for a pound. You just okay. And he's a made-up character. He's not. You're going to claim he's not you, but I have the advanced copy of this thing. I think I might have sent it out to one of you, but I have the advanced copy of this thing, and believe it or not, I actually looked at the advanced copy and liked it. I like this poet, but this is not in any way whatsoever a report on West Indian participation in World War I. Not in any way whatsoever. So, I guess people who write pub sheets for poetry volumes they're up against a wall anyway. It's a tough job to do. So we'll give as much credit as we can, and we'll move on to the box. The box is from W.W. Norton, my favorite non-Penguin publisher. So I would say non-avian, but their colophon is a bird. So let's see what we have here. I wonder if it needed to be in a box. A lot of the things I've been getting in boxes in 2023 didn't need to be in boxes. Yeah, see, this didn't need to be in boxes. No, this is just an ordinary hardcover, but I'm very glad to have it. Wonderful. I have praised this already to you. I'm grateful for an opportunity to praise this again. This comes out in early December. It's one of the last really worthwhile, noteworthy books of the year. And it belongs on your list or on your library's list. Make sure your library doesn't neglect this. It's Judith Tick's biography, Becoming Ella Fitzgerald. This is the finished copy. In the first major biography since Ella Fitzgerald's death in 1996, Judith Tick, a leading authority on American music and the history of women in music, charts Fitzgerald's career from her street corner busking in Yonkers, New York, in the early 1930s, to her international tours through the 1980s, when, through her extraordinary vocal charisma, she transfixed audiences who did not speak a word of English. And I believe something of that is captured on video. It's possible that you'll be able to see that on YouTube. But that was a widely reported phenomenon, that people recognized, everyone recognized they were in the presence of a once-in-a-lifetime kind of talent. Tick's biography moves beyond this to show why Ella Fitzgerald deserves to be recognized as a modernist innovator. Drawing on newly available recordings, concert footage, and Fitzgerald's own words from little-known interviews, the author explores how Fitzgerald was an original. Deeply committed to artistic reinvention and musical diversity, the singer embraced swing, bebop, mainstream jazz, pop, and experimental vocals. Her collaborations with Chuck Webb, Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, and Duke Ellington display her artistic empathy, while her songbooks almost single-handedly elevate the great American songbook from the realm of popcorn show tunes to high art. Rather fond of those popcorn show tunes, but I know what the writer of this pub sheet means. The author writes, quote, "Over a remarkably long career of 60 years or so, she fearlessly explored many different styles of American song through the lens of African-American jazz. She treated jazz as process, not confined to this idiom or that genre. And through her own transformative quests as an artist, she changed the trajectory of American vocal jazz in this country," close quote. This is a terrific book. One of the best biographies that I've read this year. And here it's coming out right at the end of the year. Early December, so a month from now, but plenty of time to get on a list at your library, or to get your library to make sure they get this, make sure that they know it's out there, or even to put it on an Amazon wish list. After all, the gift-giving holidays are coming up only 2 weeks after this thing, so you never know. If it strikes your fancy, I can tell you that it's really good. So there you go. We have 2 books, a slim volume of poetry and a biography, and 2 literary journals, 2 of the best literary journals that I will hungrily consume. So there you go. That is the mail for today. That wasn't a disaster. I did yell a bit, but that wasn't a disaster at all. We can count this as a win in our ongoing streak of opening the mail. So I will wrap this up before I get into any more trouble, and I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.